Right. Hello, hello. Welcome to our Storytell webinar, how to get more value out of AI as a product manager. Um, and thank you, Finn and Stephen. So Finn and Stephen will be showing how they're using Storytell today. And I want to start by just giving a little bit of context about Storytell. Oh, and happy Halloween. So, uh, so I think we have some light costumes. I guess I'm just gonna have to be a ghost. This is me as a ghost. But there you go. That's as much as is going on right there. Um,
You do have a costume, Stephen. Awesome.
oh, nice.
I do. I decided to be the abstract concept that is the color purple.
Yes, I love it.
Um, I don't have them on at the moment, but yes, that includes purple shoes.
That is incredible. I don't think I've seen a purple blazer maybe before, or at least in a really long time. I associate with the circus. So those are some fun, fun vibes. Finn, do you want to share about your costume?
Yeah, mine is really niche in the tech world, but it's Elon Musk dancing at a rally. But yeah, I don't have any special, attribution to Elon, but just love. I recycled my Occupy Mars t-shirts, and that was a quick one.
Wonderful. Okay, so to just give you some context, Angela, our webinar queen who makes all these webinars happen, could you start sharing your screen so we could look at those slides? And we have a few quick questions for you about where you're joining from, your role, and what you'd like to get out of this webinar. Um, Okay, so yes, like I said, it's about mastering AI as a product manager. And really this is, for Finn and Stephen to show you how they're using it as opposed to me doing a lot of talking. Um, but if we go to the next slide, you might have noticed that we are already live streaming this on YouTube and we're recording it. So we will be sharing the recording with you afterwards. If you have any questions, please just drop them in chat or in Q&A, whichever you prefer. We will definitely get to them. And it will just be kind of in our own timing or flow, but don't let that stop you from sharing your thoughts, observations, and questions. And going to the next slide. So what is Storytell? There's so many AI platforms. So Storytell is the collaborative intelligence platform. So the whole purpose is to de-silo teams by de-siloing data. And if we go to the next slide, it's the whole purpose, like why does Storytell exist? Well, we exist to make life meaningful by making work meaningful. And just a lot of the tedium that is often unnecessary in these convoluted work processes, you can streamline with Storytell. Um, and next slide. So just as you think of, the foundational models, whether you're interacting with OpenAI's models, Anthropic's, Meta's, Google's, et cetera, you're interacting with all the data, all the training data for those models. And then when you use Storytell, which sits on top of those models with their own algorithm, you're interacting with your business intelligence. So the intelligence, the data, the knowledge within your company. We don't train anything on your data, and we're SOC 2 Type 2 certified, so we take privacy really seriously. And next slide, Angela. So you may or may not be aware that unstructured data actually takes up about 80% of the data in a company. And so using Storytell to reveal the hidden stories in your unstructured data. And the direction we're moving in, we're very early stage startup, is like a Looker dashboard, but for unstructured data, right? Because there's you need the quant. You absolutely have to have it. But does this tell you how your customers feel? And if you don't know that, then you're at risk of a lot of surprise churn. So let's keep going here. We might have one more slide. Okay, so I know this is a gorgeous slide and you're going to be very impressed with it. But the whole purpose here is just to give you a little bit of context about our original Smart Chat platform. And this is what Stephen is going to take us through. And I actually am using some of the dummy data names of the persona account we created for Stephen, because of course you can actually share customer data publicly, right? That's just a big no, that doesn't happen. And so to give you some context about the structure of how to work with unstructured data in the Storytel platform. Okay, let's start with a file. So you're uploading a file. And this file happens to be a transcript between a call from apparently Stephen's colleague, Sarah Johnson, who's at Transmit, this DevOps company. And Sarah is talking to an existing customer, the well-known Coca Koala. And this whole transcript is getting tagged with the company name. And there's another customer, Existential Crisis. Of course, we know that one well. And this is all inside the group of customers. So you can interact with all your customer data. And let's say you're dealing with something that's actually, maybe it's about your user base. There's free users of your platform. So they're not actually customers. They don't pay. But you've asked them about, you've put out, a survey. You've got a lot of data on how they want your AI features to work or what AI features they want you to adopt. So that's not going to go inside the customers group because these folks aren't customers, and that's going to dirty your data set here. But just like want to just tease us apart. File to tag your files, and then if there's one group, bringing a kind of group around them. So that's our starting point in our original platform. You're going to see Phin in our beta platform, but I think that is all the context that I wanted to give. So with that, we've got these two incredible product leaders with a lot of experience. So Stephen Atwell at Harness DevOps company, Phin Hochart at Zight. So longtime product leaders bringing a lot to the table here. So don't hesitate with your questions as we're going through. And Stephen, with the color purple, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Sounds good. So some of the things I do with Storytel, I think my single biggest use case is analyzing my customer calls. So, I have dozens of calls with various customers about my product every week. And historically, that's a very large amount of information that just isn't used. I record them, I take notes. I regularly miss things in my notes that the customers care about. And I've been using Storytel for a while now. This is my second company using it. And I remember at the very first company where I was at Storytel, where I used Storytel, back before I was using Storytel, a couple months into the job, it was a software deployment company. We wanted to figure out what tech stacks everyone's deploying software to through us. We didn't have data for this. And the answer for how we got that was we have the entire product management team stop what they're doing for a month and a half, go through and try and figure it out manually, scrubbing through source systems, looking at data. And when we finished that and came back, we had a 70% complete list of data we didn't really trust that told us roughly what everyone's deploying to. And it kind of sort of supported some theories we had around that. One of the more eye-opening moments I've had with Storytel is about 3-4 months into using it, and when it had all these recordings, I asked the question, who wants to deploy to what? And it told me. And it cited all its sources. I clicked every single one. And every single one, the customer's talking about the thing that it says they care about. So these days, I build database deployment software. So, I ask the same exact question: which databases do my customers care about? And it tells me. Um, I've got some fake data for an imaginary company, imaginary product. When Storytel gave me access to this, I didn't actually know the name of my product, so I asked Storytel. And it tells me my product is named Transmit. And this product does have some integrations. Some customers who are expressing needs for their integrations. So here, I can ask, hey, what integrations does customer needs? And it'll tell me these customers care about these. But this isn't really that easy to consume. Like at the end of the day, as a product manager, I'm actually looking for patterns across my customers. So I can easily tweak my question just a little bit and instead go, hey, rather than just giving me like a list of customers, maybe you give me a table, and this is a prompt I regularly use internally. And hey, I've got a column for each integration. In my case, column for each database, row for each customer. Cool, I can suddenly see which integrations are most needed. Now, in my case, when I ask this question, there's more overlap between customers than there is in this data. So in this case, it's a little bit sparse. Like I can see like, okay, cool, this customer feedback integration, a lot of people care about that, but like QuickBooks, not so many, Figma, not so many. But actually what I really want is I want like a prioritized list of what people care about. So let's go ahead and try asking it to prioritize it based off the number of customers asking for things. And I'll also call out this little view sources button at the bottom. I can click that anytime I want, takes me back to the transcript, shows me the exact place the customer is talking about it. So that if I ever see something that like I'm unsure of, I don't trust, I can check. And 9 times out of 10, that transcript supports what it's saying. So here, hey, analytics, well, these are the customers who care, and that's the most asked for integration. Second most asked for integration is customer feedback. I can come in, look at that. If I'm not sure what one of these means, I can always ask for a little bit more detail on it. Exactly what do customers need the customer feedback integration to be able to do? And it's going to go ahead and go find places the customers talk about needing it, and it's going to tell me the answer to that. One of the things I love about Storytel is when it doesn't know the answer, it's actually really good at saying, people don't talk about that. I don't know. I don't have anything where I can answer that question. So cool for our customer feedback integration. And just so y'all know, I've never actually asked this question before. But we need to be able to incorporate customer insights. We need to be able to analyze and prioritize development tasks. Like, okay, cool. This gives me some initial information to go write initial spec, explore some hypotheses, and then, hey, I've also got the list of customers who care about that right here. So I know who to go review those ideas with so that I can take their feedback, I can iterate, I can refine, and then we can go build the right thing. So cool. We've already covered a few simple things around my customers. Now, there's a lot more things I do. So like when you're launching a new product, at some point you make a marketing framework. And you need to talk about how you compare relative to your competitors. You need to talk about like coming up with a good elevator pitch. I don't know about you, Finn, but I actually suck at writing elevator pitches.
Yep.
But like before I ever get to needing that marketing framework, like I've been in alpha for a while. I've been demoing my product to some customers, which means it's got recordings of me talking to customers about my product. So my current product, which launched was publicly announced for the first time like in September. Its elevator pitch and half its marketing framework was initially drafted by Storytel, and the entire marketing framework was written in a day. I couldn't do that normally as a product manager. I'm not that good of a marketer. But the reality of the matter is, it's got me talking to customers. It's got customers reacting to what I say, doubling down on what they actually care about. So it can do that. So cool. Transmit, this product I know nothing about, is apparently the ultimate solution for seamless product management and strategic growth. That sounds like something a marketer would probably write. It integrates advanced analytics. Cool. Tells me something about the product. Similarly, like I don't know if there's data about my competitors in this, but we can ask, how does Transmit compare to its competitors? And if it's in there, Storytel's going to tell me. And if it's not, it's going to tell me it doesn't know. So cool, we have competitive analysis and the ability, again, since it's running off all my customer conversations, it's not the competitive analysis I get from like looking at websites and comparing feature lists. These are the things my customers are actually saying they like about the competitors or like about me relative to the competitors. That's way more information and much harder to get in my experience. Another thing that I suspect everyone who's ever worked in product or PMM has felt pain around is sooner or later you need to go find those really, really good quotes about your customer. Well, if you go back a year and a half ago, when you asked this question to Storytel, you got back paraphrases. These days you get back quotes, and they're good quotes. And, you know, we can suddenly find out that, Transmit could indeed be a great fit for the Star Wars Empire's vast and complex product management needs. And we can quote Admiral Priet of the Star Wars Empire, assuming we want to be associated with that particular subset of our customer base. If not, it's also a good fit for Bob's Lemonade Stand. One of these is probably a more useful quote for the small business, and the other one's probably better for, the really, really large kind of enterprise or government style of customer. So one of the things that I did on my current product to get my sales team excited is we put together, when I was first looking for beta customers, a video of customers reacting to the product pitch, their quotes, their thoughts about it. How did we find those? Well, we took every call we'd had. They were in Storytel. We asked it to find us compelling quotes. We chose the best ones. We clicked the footnotes in Storytel to find the exact point in transcripts where customers talk about them. Suddenly, we know which video and at what time the customer said that. Pull down those videos, pulled it up at that time, grabbed the minute and a half snippet, edited them together. Usually, for doing something like that, you spend far more time trying to track down the quotes and the video sources than doing the editing. Everything I just described was a few hours, including the video editing, which was the vast majority of the time. So that's the power kind of of what I get from Storytel, is it allows me to leverage my customer data in low effort ways that you could have done historically, but they were too cost prohibitive to do.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I'm like memorizing your language right now, Stephen. Yeah, I think like on that note, AI isn't the magic wand, but it's like what I'm hearing you say is it's a great assist. And when things just take too much time, actually they don't happen, essentially. That's part of what I'm
Yeah,
hearing too.
I would definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
And honestly, like everything I talked about so far is cross customer. I also work with my sales team. I can come over here, filter down to a particular customer and ask questions about just that one. So, if I wanted to come over here and search for Empire, I can talk to just the Star Wars Empire, and we could ask a question such as, uh, what is most important to the Star Wars Empire in Transmit? And I've literally just said ignore every single transcript that isn't from talking to the Star Wars Empire. So I can narrow things as well, which definitely is useful at times. And there's what Star Wars cares about. I've also used this with sales calls. What are the most important next steps in order to convert this customer to a paid account? Questions of that nature. Does good meeting notes, etc. I've got automated summaries every time a call recording posts that gets posted out to Jira and Slack.
Powerful. And do other people look at those summaries?
Yes, so actually there's several folks in my so those summaries, those are published out to my engineering team. In some cases, the sales team is also looking at those, as is my boss. And we also have members of my sales and customer support team who log into Storytel to ask questions about their own accounts. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to understand them just like I'm trying to understand them.
Yeah. Yeah. As you share that, Stephen, I just think of like the power of this for everyone who touches those customer accounts. Yeah. To just really, really understand. So you're all on the same page, which is, it's almost bizarre how hard it is to stay on the same page with customers. And yet it really, really is.
Yeah. Well, and like the more customers you have, the harder it is because suddenly you're context switching. If you're context switching between 5 customers, it's not a big deal. If you're context switching between 40 customers, good luck keeping them all in your head correctly. What do I do before hopping on a customer call? I go look at the last summary of their customer call. Okay, what was going on with this customer? Sometimes I go and I ask a couple follow-up questions because you want the customer you never want a customer to feel like they're just another customer. You want
Mhm,
them to feel like they're that customer you care about a
mhm.
ton. And honestly, they should be. Like every customer should be the customer you care about a ton. Um, but as your customer counts go up, it's harder to give every customer, it gets harder to keep every customer straight, and it can help with that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I almost think of it like if you were in a therapy session and like your therapist forgets your name or anything you've told them before, like, oh, wait a minute, this maybe isn't working out. But just like that quality of the relationship, that you're holding the relationship in high regard, and you're doing that by just like getting that context,
Yeah.
reminding yourself of the context that you
Yeah.
need.
Well, and I've had more than a few customer calls in my career where you ask a question and the customer's answer is, I've already told person one, two, three, four, five from your company that exact same question. Why don't you already know that? Which is
Mhm.
never a fun conversation. It's not one you want to have. On the flip side, if you already asked that question to your LLM that had the transcripts of every call, regardless of system, because some of my customers we record with Gong, some Zoom, some team Microsoft Teams, like these are all in different places. They're all in Storytel though.
Yeah.
Like I can get that question answered ahead of time. So instead, when I join the customer call, hey, here's my understanding of your situation from talking to your sales team and CS team. And in reality, it's got details that's not even in those people's heads, but that the customer's articulated and cares about. And suddenly the customer finds the conversation more connected to where they are and where they want it to be.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's a great starting point for a call. So
Yeah.
yeah, really, really a point of strength. Um, Amazing. Thank you so much, Stephen, for taking us on that tour. So just a little context. So we're going to do some context switching and platform switching because here at Storytel, we are building our beta platforms. It is in production, so you can use it right now, and we're just rapidly adding new features to it. So it doesn't have all the functionality of our original Smart Chat platform, but that functionality is coming. And Finn, I believe that you'll be showing us how to use our beta.
Yes, for sure. So first of all, I think, yeah, thank you, Stephen. It's, a lot of the use cases that you demoed, I also started using those after you showed it to me the first time. And, there is also a lot of unstructured data in our company, like I think like every company. So your 80% actually is a number I didn't know about. And I'm like, it kind of makes sense. It's in everybody's notes. It's scattered everywhere, different tools. So you're always trying to find a way where maybe, yeah, LLMs you can feed it a lot of data and try to find insights from that data. The one that I think I use the most from your examples is the user quotes. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I can feed it everything. And then who said something positive? Who said something negative? And then maybe help product marketing do their work. So what I'm gonna walk you through today on my end is it started from some discussion with the Storytel team of how to be a better AI-enabled PM. So I think the 40 people in the current chat can probably all relate because they're all here, so they're all curious people. But basically, my main goal was I know that there's a lot that I can do as a PM, but I actually don't know where to start. It's overwhelming, so many tools, so many things. So I would join these kind of conversations and webinars. And slowly, after being onboarded to a tool like Storytel and all the other AI tools, I found a few scenarios where I actually just go AI first, and then I do the rest of the work. So I think one of the main value is it helps you remove a lot of the boring work and we were at the Lenny's conference, Lenny podcast. I think everybody in that chat probably knows about his content, and we can tag him probably in some notes there. But basically, there was a big talk from the Launch Darkly CPO Clairvaux about how you have to be an AI-enabled PM if you want to succeed in your coming years, because that's going to be a given. So, like, what a better way to start now? And yeah, there's a lot of use cases that emerge. So I will walk you through a few of my examples, a few of my own use cases. There are two main ones. The first one is helping you automate a lot of the documentation creation that you need to do as a PM. And number two, parse through user testing data specifically, like specifically user testing data. So I think Stephen was showing about customer calls, but on our end, we're actually we're an asynchronous tools. We're a tool that helps you communicate faster by clipping videos of what's on your screen. So a lot of the data that we get actually is videos from customers to us, giving us some data. So these are the two scenarios. The first one, helping you create documentation. So if you're like me, you have a backlog with a lot of tickets and a lot of info is in that backlog. It's not in your documentation, it's in your giant backlog. I also record a lot of videos. So this is a Zight video, it's our tool, but we duck-foot it quite a bit where I record a description of a ticket and I put it in that ticket. So instead of having the development team, walk through all of the different comments and description, usually they watch the 3-minute video and they're good to go. On top of that, there's still a lot of info in the ticket or like other comments that were added since I recorded that video. So what I did recently, and that's a true scenario from the past week, it's something that I've fed into Storytel. I gave it the transcript of my video. So here, I just did copy transcription. I added it to my knowledge. So I just pasted it as a, sorry, acknowledged my project, and I pasted the transcription here. And the second thing that you can actually see here is that I exported this page as a PDF. So in Jira or Linear or whatever tool you use, you always have like some kind of export function. So I also added it as knowledge. Here, I think I just did a PDF. And basically my prompt was, please create a training document so I can just create a support page. So I'm actually bad at prompting, I think. That's one thing where I could not have written all of this myself. So like a lot of the times, either I do a really simple prompt with a few follow-ups, or what I did here is use the Storytel library. I think, Erica, I saw you put in the chat. I bookmarked this link, which you should do. And that was basically my starting point for like, okay, training document. I looked for the training document prompt. I copy pasted it here. As is, I did not even try to modify it. Really laziness that we all have sometimes in the day. And based on this content, so this feature is about group syncing with your IDP, so like Okta, like any scheme provider. So you have an identity provider. Here is how we implemented the feature in Zight. Please write some documentation. And as is, it actually created a small introduction. Here's a table of content. Here's the main content, which was great. I went through it. It does make sense. However, I just did a quick follow-up. here below, do this again, but without any XML, because I actually want to put this in Zendesk. So I just said, do this without XML, and there you go. I have my documentation set up. So that's the kind of aha moment that I got where I was like, all my knowledge is in tickets. My support and engineering team want proper documentation. I don't want to have to rewrite everything. Let me just feed it and then fix it. So here, what is scheme and group provisioning, setting up a group with Okta, and these are actually the steps that I explained in my video. So like, there's a checkbox, you need to click on it. It even added ensure JavaScript confirmation is activated, like the kind of things that you wouldn't think about. But since it knows the audience, which is like support and more technical, it would make sure all the bases are covered. Managing the type of users. Here, for example, I actually just edited it a little bit to show exactly the naming that they should use. Like I scrolled through this, did some edits, and it's about to be released on our Zendesk support page. So from there, you could also say, great, now write a product requirement. Like sometimes you write a requirement document. A lot of things happen in the real world with changes in the code. There's some things that we realized we couldn't do. So then there's some requirements that change. So I make it regenerate a product requirement document. So here, yeah, make this shorter and use Gemini. So I know that now with Storytel, like I just wanted to try different models and I just got a shorter version. Great. It still got the sections that I like. It was just more straight to the point. And that's it. I copied this with using that little button here. I put it in the document. So that's one example, tickets, videos, whatever document you have. I uploaded it, made it generate it. I think the next step of this one is actually we're going to announce the feature. So I'll make it generate the blog post for you.
I've got a question for you, Phin, and then we've got a question from John Yen as well. So first, manually, how would you have done this, or how much time would this have taken if you weren't using Storytel or another AI?
I think that's the kind of thing that takes, you think it's going to take you 30 minutes, but it's going to take you 4 hours because you need to do a first draft, you need to get feedback from others. When I was at the conference, they said now asking for feedback for others should be after you ask feedback to the AI, which saves you a whole round trip of feedback of typos, things that I'm not English first language as a first language. There you go. So like I make a lot of syntax mistakes, it catches it, it does it. So I think this is the case for a lot of people working in product as well. That might not be your first language, that you may avoid a lot of simple things that could have been caught with an AI. So I think instead of, I would say realistically, this is like a 3-4 hours task. All in all, like you're gonna probably start it, then having a round of feedback and everything. If I skip the writing and the overtime, I think it's say 4 hours. I just copy pasted things, made it generated. It's in a support doc. So really,
How and what would you say it gets it down to? Is it like 15 minutes in this case?
I would say so, yeah. So from 4 hours to 15 minutes. I did not, that long prompt, that's the kind of things that I did not even have to think about. Copy pasted and then tweaked it, and then I'm good to go.
And I'm hearing as well from both you, Phin, and you, Stephen, that there's an efficiency aspect, but there's also an effectiveness aspect as well. It's not just about efficiency. Stephen, did you have something you want to say?
I was going to say, yeah, there definitely is. So right now, historically, good quality data is like the hardest thing to get as a product manager. And the reality is a very large number of PMs and decisions made by PMs throughout my career, if you really start poking them, aren't always that defensible. Like a lot of them are based off someone's gut or, I think this is the case. And a lot of good product decisions are made that way, but a lot of bad ones are too. And the more you can avoid making a decision because it feels right, but instead make a decision because you have these customers who need this thing, like you are going to be so much more effective as a product manager, and you're going to have a much more effective product, a much more successful product as a result. So it makes you more effective at listening to your customers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and I'm
focus
hearing
on,
decisions that are like representative of your customers versus you. Or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, completely.
I think there are two questions that I can help answer. So
Great.
how did you, from John, how did you feed your data into Storytel manually or import from your customer tickets database? So two ways. So if you do unchanged knowledge and knowledge, I used to use the previous platform that Stephen was using. Now on the new platform, I can do most of what I was doing on the old platform. So my main way is usually I export as a PDF, but it also supports, CSV, docs, whatever. So I would say like PDF for me works because a lot of the times other formats are not as great. Or pasting content. I think in sometimes when it did not work well, I did like an export, like a really dumb export in whatever tool I was using, copy pasting it and then just feeding it there. So it actually works pretty well. Then Mark asked, how does this scale? 750 hours of calls transcribed. Um, there's a few ways that I think maybe even the Storytel team could help you a bit better than I could. But what I did when I needed to import a lot of content was their Chrome extension lets you automatically import a web page. So I would just click through all the different pages of the different calls, and it actually just imported it as I went. So then it was easy to just add some of it or add all of it. Um, that was the fastest ways that I found.
So on the data volume, I have hundreds of hours. I don't know exactly how many hundreds, but it's several hundred that I regularly chat with in Storytel. It doesn't cause a problem. One comment I will make. So you may recall when I was demoing, I had a tag per customer, so I could easily filter and focus in on a customer. So as your data volume increases, the precision of the answers does decrease slightly. So if I care only about one customer, I use that so I'm talking to a smaller amount of data. When I talk about all, ask it with all, and it does a really good job of big picture patterns. But if I'm talking to several hundred and I'm asking very, very, very pointed questions about just one customer, um, I can usually get a higher quality answer if I filter that customer first. Um, so it scales well, but setting up a way to filter in on things like customer name or feature name or product name when you are loading those into Storytel does give you more power than if you just put them all in as one blob.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will, like, our work is constantly, improving our product focused on the beta. So for instance, right now, our beta, I wouldn't say is as good as our original platform in terms of only interacting with what you've uploaded. It's pretty good, but it's not as precise. Like what Stephen was talking about earlier. If the data isn't there, it's going to say, hey, you asked about something, I don't have any information about that. But definitely improving those algorithms so that where it's not that like lossy data situation is something that we'll be working on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
so
looks like
John,
no,
I see two more questions. How do you tag with these? So when I am uploading data, I can literally choose a tag I want to apply, drag it in. It will drag in one or more files. They'll automatically have the tag applied. And for John's question about thousands of tickets, um, Storytel does allow you to upload Excel files, and most ticketing systems let you export tickets with a selected
yeah,
set of fields as an Excel file.
I would have answered the same thing. Yeah, like export in whatever tool you use, and then import as an Excel or a CSV or that's what we did. Like to get you started. Of course, you'll probably play with the different ways to import. Um, on my end, I think it's a lot of it was okay. Let's take 2 or 3 files, but I know on Stephen, you're having like hundreds of customer calls. So I think you are the expert in the volume. I'm the expert in the like automating quick things here and there.
Yeah, I think I've uploaded in excess of 20 hours of recordings this week so
Yeah,
far.
So DM Stephen, and he's gonna help you. I can share with you maybe my second example really quick. Basically, a lot of the data that I have is, for example, this is from 2023. We did a redesign of part of our app and we just wanted to get the feeling. So we just sent screenshots as an email and people would send us back text. So I would just put their feedback in. I started, manually putting like, okay, do they like the new colors that we put in the top bar? I started manually trying to find it. But at the end of the day, I just, I could feed it in Storytel. And I can actually do it right now. I can go onto these AI prompts, and I think there's one that is like analyze large data sets and unlock insights. So it's very vague, but it's a great starting point where it would tell me to upload a file. Something went wrong. Of course, it's a live demo, but basically, I can go and get a file of all the feedback that I got. So it's all quantitative feedback from my user calls. And it's not just calls, it's calls, emails, a lot of different feedback. And here, I think I could just go on the prompt library and then maybe I will search for feedback. Oops, sorry.
Sorry about the bug.
Or no, all good. I'm sure I could just try it again and it would work. But like, for your body of research, like there's a lot of different things that I could just do. Here's the prompt. There you go. I can go here. Specific topics that have been covered. Perfect. User interface improvements, feature discoverability. Basically, from this large piece of just emails and emails. And what I did not show is at the bottom, I actually have all the straight up the email answers from these customers. And I don't need to read them all. I can just get a overall feelings of like, okay, cool. Here's the different here are the different topics that have been discussed. Here's the different pieces of feedback. So if I spend days and days on getting these user interviews and emails, I can just give a quick summary to my executive team. So how did that research go? Actually, well, and here's why, or bad, and here's why. And usually I can just, the other feature that I love that I think we developed together with Storytel is you select one piece of information and then can I please get more details on this? And then it's gonna dig through specific things. So this is not the kind of features that you see just in an LLM where it's just the world knowledge. This is really my content, and I'm really diving into my content there.
Since you were talking about user feedback, Phin, I've had multiple UX designers of mine start using Storytel. And every single time, the first thing they've started using it for is, Steven told me this customer said X, Y, and Z. Where do they say that? I want to actually watch it. How do you do that from the recording today? You watch the recording until you find where they talk about it. How do you do it with Storytel? You ask where do they talk about X, Y, and Z? It gives you the timestamp. You go watch from that timestamp. Also useful for like bug reports.
And I see in the comments also, Rodeo, so CEO of Storytel, jumped in. They have integrations coming because as I think that was the worry of a few users here, that's basically one of the main pieces of feedback where we're like, okay, right now there are ways to get it working today for your data, no problem. But eventually, there's a lot of integrations that might come and help us
Yes,
digest the data faster.
they definitely will come. It's just a matter of priority. But so we totally like hear you on there's pain around uploading things manually. No one really wants to do that. With one-offs, it's not such a big deal. But and what I've heard from you, Stephen, is like, well, the value of what I get is still like
It
outside.
saves me so much more time than it takes to do the uploads, and it helps me make such better decisions. Like,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I hear data-based decisions. Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you both so much for just taking us through all the ways that you're using Storytel. I'm sure there's probably other AI products you're using as well. Um, and just Angela, thank you. She just shared our LinkedIn with everyone here. Thank you all for joining us on Halloween. And I think, you know, we talk about like what's your relationship to AI? Are you in the avoidant? Are you cautious, curious, enthusiast? So we have two enthusiasts here. And it's easy, especially prompting can be hard to say like, this doesn't work. It so happens for millions of people in the world, it does work. So
Well,
hopefully,
and Erica, you call me an AI enthusiast. I actually consider myself an AI skeptic because so much AI doesn't. So many products I look at with AI, they're focused on AI for the sake of AI, and they don't solve an actual problem.
Mhm.
Um, I use Storytel because it solves my actual problems. It happens to do it through AI, but I don't use it because it's AI. I
Mm,
use it because it makes my life easier.
That's a
I Yeah,
great quote.
I really appreciate that. You're very quotable today, Stephen. And you'll see, like, yeah, we've got power users of our product here who've given us lots of feedback in developing both Gen 1 and our beta. And they're not doing marketing. You know, it's like, hey, it works well for this. And I'm going to be honest, here
Exactly.
it does. So there is no one product that is amazing for all things on planet Earth or Mars in the future. Um, yeah, so thank you for your data-based sharing with us, your AI skepticism, and sharing the benefits that you're getting from Storytel as well. Um, and thank you, Mark and John and others for your questions. Zendesk integration, amazing. Yes, we want to revolutionize startups is revolutionizing ours. We use this so much. Again, learn from Stephen to use this on all our customer calls. Yeah. Any final words you want to share, Finn or Stephen? Okay.
I think for AI, you just have got to try it, and then you'll see what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, like in general, if I'm find myself doing something that feels like busy work, then the question is, okay, cool. How can I do this automatically? And a very large amount of busy work requires me to provide knowledge that is my company's own, sometimes from multiple different sources. And Storytel gives me a way to automate that busy work.
Amazing. Yeah, the way I've heard it once is knock, knock, AI, are you awake? Like always going through, how can I use AI for this? Yeah,
No.
absolutely. And just seeing a lot of awesome comments here. So our beta is already, so Melania, or Meliana, our beta is already in production. So what you saw Finn using, like you can use that right now, today. In terms of when it's finished, um, I don't.
No product's ever finished. Well, okay. It's a sad day when your product is truly finished.
Right,
Yeah,
because probably
exactly.
your company is too. Yeah.
It's usable as is, basically. Yeah. I use a
I,
lot
I
of AI, and it's
Yeah, I actually use both the old and the new version of the product. I use the old version of the product for my bulk upload because I care about the tagging feature for filtering customers. When I'm doing a task where I have like some chunks of data and it's like a quick analyze this, I want the answer as a one-time thing, throwaway type thing, I use the new version. And I can't wait. Like they're currently in the process of adding the tagging to the new version, and when that happens, I'm going to fully move over, and I can't wait.
And in terms of tagging, so that will be available December 1st in our beta. So be able to work with those groups of files. And Angela, could you share your screen again and show our beta? So our beta is our homepage. Um, so it's not hidden away. We don't have a private demo. This is live to the world. One of our values is default to transparency. We build in public. So this is our beta. We have some like Mad Lib prompts that you can do because prompting is often a barrier. Um,
yeah.
And then we have the different kind of prompts here that you can go through, and Angela's just uploading a file to choose one of these Mad Libs options. But you can also just delete the Mad Libs and write whatever you want. And you can go to /prompts here to find tons of different prompts as well. So this is it. This is our beta live in production and improving all the time. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for joining us. And I guess I'll sign off with my ghost costume.
Yeah. Well, Elon.
The color purple.
The
So great.
abstract concept of the color purple.
The abstract concept. Yeah, my mistake.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
I like it. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Oh, I mean, thank you.